I wrote 2 speeches for tonight, threw them both out this morning. And I'll tell you why, I really wanted to do something more intimate. Something happened last night. I was like in one of those spaces where I felt really disconnected and unhappy and unsure of myself. And I got on a phone call that I do on a regular basis with a group of people that I've never met, it's just on the phone. And we talked for about an hour, and I kind of got gut level honest with them and shared what was going on with me. You know, I'm off my feet. And this morning I woke up feeling pretty good. And I thought, that's really interesting. Like, what happened for the shift to be, it was pretty dramatic, like that much. And there was a few things, environmental stuff, hormonal stuff, there was some stuff. But primarily what dawned on me was the intimacy of the night before. And I had heard Brené Brown's TED Talk, and she talks about, that would be one. She talks about, this is what happens when you don't prepare. She talks about belonging being an irreducible need, but what's occurring to me is that intimacy is an irreducible need. And that I can feel like I belong, but not necessarily be intimate with you. I can get up here and give a speech that I've practiced, and even tell you something really vulnerable, but not necessarily be intimate. And I'm not saying intimate is better than the other, but I wanted to connect to you more intimately that way. And what's interesting, as I started thinking about intimacy and thinking about actually doing this, was if it's an irreducible need, isn't it kind of fascinating that the #1 fear in a lot of polls that people have is public speaking? Where you're seen and you see others, it's pretty intimate. It's our #1 fear, so it kind of puts us in a quandary, right? Like, if our irreducible need is intimacy, and yet we're afraid of it, what do we do? What do we do? And I also got to thinking about Halloween. Did you guys go trick-or-treating? Did anybody go out with kids? It was so much fun. I haven't done this in, like, seriously, 20 years. And I dressed up as Mike, and I put a pencil thin mustache on. It was really pretty cute. I had a ball, and we took a couple of our friends' kids out, and we had a really good time, and I got to thinking about masks, too, and intimacy, and all the different ways I wear masks in my life. And then it's not really bad or good, it's just, there's roles that I play, right? Like sometimes I'm thoughtful parent, and sometimes when I used to work in IT, I was executive. You know, I walked around with the briefcase and the phone, and it isn't any less authentic than the intimacy of just walking up here and winging it with you guys. But it does lack that intimacy, and I noticed I was more able to connect with people when I was dressed up as Mike, complete strangers, than I would be without my mask. So I think taking masks off is a really powerful way to be intimate. And as public speakers, you know, we talk a lot about eye contact, right? Make eye contact, make sure you make eye contact. And it's a skill, but there's eye contact and then there's eye contact, right? Like, there's eye contact.
You go like,
And then there's creepy eye contact.
you know, like really creepy eye contact.
You've met that guy, right? That's like right here, and he gives you that really creepy eye contact. But eye contact, what do they say? Eyes are the, I don't know who said it, but eyes are the windows to the soul. There's something to that. So I want to do something like really audacious, if you guys are up for it. If you're up for a little experiment. And it's perfect tonight because it's kind of a little more of an intimate crowd. Things are a little bit different. So I wanted to try an experiment because I think as public speakers, eye contact and practicing the intimacy that comes along with that is really valuable to us. And not just in public speaking, but like in connecting with people when we go out into the world. I'll tell you a little story later about that and how enlightening it was to me that when I became comfortable with seeing you and being seen, that my life really did start to change a lot. So if you're up for it, I'm going to ask you guys to find a partner, and the person sitting next to you is perfect. If you don't have a partner, go ahead and pick somebody. Just kind of give each other the nod. Pick a partner. If you don't have one, put your hand up. I guess Mike's offline because he's videotaping. Who doesn't have a partner? Put up your hand.
Oh.
Perfect.
I have a partner, I have a buddy.
Everybody has somebody? Okay, cool. This will be great too, for you guys to do together. This will be really neat for you guys to do together. So one of the things that I thought about, and you inspired me to do this, Jill, because of your speech last week, the word intimacy, I broke it down into syllables. In, to, me, see. Like, how cool is that? And so I thought this might be a really perfect way for us to get an experience of it, because I didn't want to sit here and give, what is the definition of intimacy? It's like, let's get an experience of it and everything that comes with it. So in a couple of minutes, what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to face each other and don't touch, but as close as you guys. I'm not talking about that kind of intimacy. Children. Like knee to knee. Now, not weirdly close, you know, but knee to knee, and you'll be facing each other. And I'm going to facilitate you through this, but I'm going to have you look eye to eye to each other. And there's a couple instructions with this. No laughing. But notice the part of you that wants to break the tension with laughter, if that happens. Don't look away. Use soft eyes. Notice anything that comes up, if it's an emotion or fear or wanting to touch them or comfort them or break the tension in any way. Just notice it. It's not right or wrong. It's just the nature of intimacy. And it's really powerful when we can be present for each other in that way. Okay? And then that would be probably 4, 3? Okay, good. And a few more minutes. Okay, so we're going to start. Everybody just face each other. You're lucky I'm not pulling out your sobbing and crying music. Now, this is going to be
my
in complete
cultural thing is
silence. We're doing this in complete silence for a reason. Because the tendency with intimacy is to not really go there. Because it's scary, it's vulnerable, right? So we're going to do this in silence. So look at your partner now. Watch the tendency to want to laugh. Eye to eye. You're looking at each other eye to eye now. Stay with each other's eyes. Don't look at me. Eyes are really the windows to the soul. And when we can sit and get present with another human being through their eyes, we're tapping into no small thing right there. What's uncomfortable? Notice what is uncomfortable about that. Just being present for another person, another human being. Who are we without our masks on? Eye to eye, there's no role. It's just one human being connecting with another. Stay with the eye contact. Feel yourself settling down. Feel any part that wants to run. And put some attention on your heart. Because it's a really loving thing to allow someone into your space through your eyes. This could be someone you meet on the street that is not your religion, doesn't hold your beliefs, but at essence, through the eyes we can see who we are without our story. Another human being is trying to get through the day. Another human being with fears and joys and gifts. It's such a sacred thing to honor each other in this way. And in a minute, I'm going to end the exercise. Stay with the eye contact. Nice try, Lee. In a minute, I'm gonna end the exercise at the count of 3, and what I'm gonna ask you to do is remain silent. Watch the tendency to wanna interact because of your discomfort. At the count of 3, you'll just say, thank you, and silently turn to the front of the room. 1, 2, holding my contact. 3.
Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. So how was that? Does anybody want to share about what came up, what that was like? You didn't like it? It was uncomfortable? Exquisitely uncomfortable. You know, isn't it fascinating? You know,
It's
yeah.
also cultural, because
Right.
I was saying, where I grew up, that was not viewed as what you do. You don't look someone in the eye that long. You just don't do it.
You don't do
And as a result, I think it's years of belief systems that get built up.
it. Yeah, yeah.
And
it's
whether
like-
it's not right or wrong, it just is.
Yeah, it's just what it is. And it's interesting because I'm not suggesting we go out on the street and start staring people down. That would we get arrested. But the invitation is this. The invitation is go home and do this with your partner. I know that sounds like a bizarrely crazy, scary maybe for some of you. It's absolutely transformative. If you want to know what you're hiding from yourself, it will all come up. And if you can hold your presence in the face of that, you won't believe the intimacy from that simple exercise that will develop in a partnership, a friendship, a family member. And after practicing it for a while, I really encourage you to do it with somebody you have issues with. And I won't tell you what your experience is gonna be, it's different for everybody. But I've done this with a lot of people. And this was a really short version, but it's to a number has been powerful. But there's one other thing you can do, and this is really cool. Do it with yourself. Do it with yourself. I challenge you to sit in front of a mirror and meet yourself. It will blow your mind. And if you can do it for 5 minutes or more to start out with, report back to me, because I'd love to hear your experience. It's a remarkable thing. And it's surprising to me how hard it was for me to do that the first time. I didn't like it at all. I wanted to vomit. It was that bad. I was so disconnected from my own heart and from you that I couldn't even sustain it. It made me so sick. But I'll tell you one quick story. After I started doing this was just last year. I'm driving down the road. I've gotten pretty good at this thing, right? I'm driving down the road in Millwood, Virginia, by this little country store, and there's this little man sitting at a picnic table, this little 75-year-old little brown man. And I drive around the corner and I look at him, and he sees me, and we lock eyes. You know those seconds that you just lock eyes with somebody? And my car pulled itself over. And I parked, and I got out, and I sat down at the picnic table with him, and I said, "How's it going?" He said, "Pretty good." I said, "Is the coffee good here?" He said, "Yeah." And I went in, I got a cup, and I sat down, and we spent 2 hours, and he told me his whole life. This man was remarkable. This little brown man that I never would have noticed before had a story that is for another speech. But his name was Snooky. And I came home to my husband and I said, "I met Snooky today." And he's like, "Really? A reality star?" I know. I met myself on the street today. You know, I met love on the street today. And he told me his whole life. And it was such a gift to walk in the world like that. So I invite us to do it, not just because it takes the nervousness out of public speaking and it makes us more intimate with each other, but it changes our vibration and it changes the vibration of the people that we come in contact with. I'm convinced of that. So I just wanted to do something audacious and do it tonight. Because when I leave these kind of exchanges, wow, I just feel